rooster crowed, the sky turned gold. I poured my coffee, the air turned cold. The same old boots, the same old cap, and a Bible verse on the tractor dash. Psalm 23 in faded ink, taped right there by the throttle link. When the world gets loud or work feels rough, that little line is more than enough. It keeps me plowing straight and true through muddy fields and sky so blue. When doubt rolls in like summer grass, I read that verse on the tractor dash. The Lord is my shepherd, and I believe He rides this rig right next to me. Dad put it there in '92, before the barn burned half in two. Said, boy, you'll need this more than tools. The word holds fast when this world fools. The rain may fall, the crop might fail, but faith still rides on diesel trails. And when my days run out at last, let that verse shine through the broken glass. It keeps me plowing straight and true through loss and gain and morning dew. Each furrow cut, each field I pass, still echoes grace from the tractor dash. The Lord is my shepherd, steady and strong. Through every storm, He pulls me along. So don't need sermons, suits or sash, just a Bible verse on the tractor dash.
That old chair by the window pane still creaks with every joy and pain. It's heard my fears in midnight air and prayers I whispered through despair. My Bible's worn, the cover cracked, still open to the page I lacked. And every night when stars come low, I'd sit and let the mercy flow. The rocking chair knew my confessions, every sin and every lesson. Where no preacher saw, the Lord still heard through broken sighs and trembling words. It never judged, it only swayed as heaven listened while I prayed. Told it things I've never told, of selfish pride and tempers bold. It heard the names I failed to love and begged for grace from up above. The porch was still, the world was wide, but God was near right there inside. The breeze would pause, the night turn kind as peace would fill my troubled mind. chair knew my confessions, all my guilt and old transgressions. It groaned beneath my weary frame, but lifted every burden name I didn't need. A church's pew, that chair, and Jesus got me through. So when I'm gone, don't move that chair. The Lord still lingers, listening there. Chair by the window pane still creaks with every joy and pain. It's heard my fears in midnight air and prayers I whisper through despair. My Bible's worn, the cover cracked, still open to the page I lack. And every night when stars come low, I'd sit and let the mercy flow. The rocking chair knew my confessions, every sin and every lesson. Where no preacher saw, the Lord still heard through broken sighs and trembling words. It never judged, it only swayed as heaven listened while I prayed. I've never told of selfish pride and tempers bold. It heard the names I failed to love and begged for grace from up above. The porch was still, the world was wide, but God was near right there inside. The breeze would pause, the night turned kind as peace would fill my troubled mind. The rocking chair knew my confessions, all my guilt and old transgressions. It groaned beneath my weary frame, but lifted every burden name. I didn't need a church's pew, that chair and Jesus got me through. So when I'm gone, don't move that chair. The Lord still lingers, listening there. Out past the barn and the cotton rows, where the willow leans and the cold wind blows, there's a narrow path and a muddy beat that leads me down to the creaky creek. I was just a boy, heart full of sin. Mama said, let the Lord begin. The preacher stood in his rolled up sleeve, said, son, come wash what you believe. I was baptized in the creaky creek, where the water's low and the banks don't speak. But heaven sang through the cypress trees, and grace ran deeper than my knees. The current took what I couldn't keep. I left my past in that creaky creek. Sang from the muddy shore, a Amazing grace in a country drawl. My granddad cried with his weathered hand, said, now you're part of God's great plan. That creek don't make no headlines bold, but it held the weight of a soul grown old. Still hear the splash, still feel the sun, still know the work the Lord has done. Yeah, I was baptized in the creaky creek, not in gold, but in waters meek. And I still walk to that blessed bend where faith begins and sins can end. The Lord was near, the Spirit spoke through every ripple, splash and soak. So if you pass that rusted gate where mercy met me face to face, you'll find my heart still wet and clean, baptized in the creaky creek. Biscuits rising in the morning light, coffee brewing and her robe pulled tight. She hums old hymns while the skillet sings, and the Spirit stirs in the simplest things. There's a Bible by the windowsill, open wide while the world sits still. With every stir she bows her head, and grace is baked in homemade bread. Heaven sits in Mama's kitchen, in the steam and prayer she's fixing. Her hands may tremble, but they hold the faith that's stronger than pure gold. I've seen angels by that old stove stand, in every touch of Mama's hand. The walls are cracked, the tiles are worn, but love's been served there since I was born. She fed the sick, she fed the poor, and thanked the Lord for every chore. There's no stained glass, no choir pews, just bacon grease and gospel truths. When she speaks, the heavens lean to hear the voice of a kitchen queen. Heaven sits in Mama's kitchen, where mercy comes without condition. She taught me grace with fork and plate and said, son, love's what makes life great. I trade all cathedrals grand and wide for one more breakfast by her side. So when the trumpet sounds and saints arise, I won't look first to the starry skies. I'll find her there in God's own light, still stirring peace at morning's bright. 'Cause heaven sits in Mama's kitchen tonight. There's an old wind chime on Mama's porch, hung from a nail by a rusty torch.
when the breeze rolls in about supper time. It sings like angels, soft and kind. It ain't tuned right, and it ain't brass, just mason jars and broken glass. But when it moves, I close my eyes and feel a hymn float through the skies. It's a hymn from the wind chime, gentle and low, like heaven humming through a whispering blow. No choir robes, no Sunday pew, just grace in a gust in the spirit too. God don't always need a church bell ring, sometimes He speaks through a porch string. I've sat out there on stormy days with questions too heavy for me to say. Then out of silence that chime would sing, and peace would ride in on the wings of spring. No preacher taught me half as much as that glass and string with heaven's touch. When faith feels far and words feel dry, that chime still tells me God is nigh. It's a hymn from the wind chime, soft and real, more honest than the way I feel through every doubt and loss I've known. The breeze reminds me I'm not alone, and house too quiet for a song to rise. The Lord still sings through open skies. So hang me a chime when I'm gone someday, let it sing the words I couldn't say. And when the wind whispers through that string, know I'm with Jesus, and the chime still rings.
I wear these old overalls like a second skin, with patches and stains from the work I've been in. They're frayed at the knees, but they still hold tight, like the faith that's kept me walking right. The sun bears down, the plow gets stuck. I prayed through droughts and broke down trucks, but every calloused hand I raise is proof I've lived through nights I prayed. It's overalls and overcoming, dust and sweat, but grace still coming. A pocket full of gospel lines and hope that shines through hardest times. Ain't no pulpit robe or choir humming, just me and Jesus, overalls and overcoming. My daddy wore his till they tore clean through. Said, boy, these straps will carry you. They'll hold your heart, your tools, your pride, and the kind of truth you can't hide. Some folks wear suits to feel brand new, but mine are soaked in heaven's dew. And when I kneel in fields alone, that denim's where my prayers have grown. Yes, overalls and overcoming, through every trial the Lord kept running. With gospel hums and boot-worn grace, I find my strength in this worn place. Don't need much, but I keep becoming, by faith and thread, overalls and overcoming. So when I stand before God's throne, I won't be dressed in suit or stone, just overalls and a heart that's true, and a life the Lord pulled me through. up my shame in a second-hand Ford. Drove out of town like I'd slammed the Lord's door. But hanging there, swinging calm and clear, was a wooden cross in the rearview mirror. The road stretched long like a sinner's tale, through gas station grace and motel fail. But every mile through dust and fear, that cross kept swinging, reminding me he's near. It's the cross in the rearview mirror, closer now, getting clearer. Though I've run from what I'd done, grace don't fade beneath the sun. No matter how far I steer, he still rides in that mirror. I've cursed the sky, I've wept with pride, but never shook that cross inside. And when I thought he'd let me go, the chains fell off on an old dirt road. I used to see it as guilt and shame, a heavy sign of my broken name. But now I see through all my years, it's been a compass made of tears. Yeah, that cross in the rearview mirror, a silent friend growing dear. I once drove blind, now I see it wasn't chasing, it carried me through every wrong turn and gear. Love still hung in that mirror. If you ride past what you've done, don't lose hope beneath the sun. Just glance back, you'll see it clearer. The grace of God in your rearview mirror. I walked in slow through the chapel door, where I ain't been in years or more. The pews are cracked, the lights burn low, but peace still wrapped me head to toe. The pulpit's worn, the hymnal's torn, like Sunday shoes that ain't been worn. And on the table, front and wide, a layer of dust where grace once cried. There's dust on the communion table, but the mercy's still as strong and able. Though we've let the silence grow, the bread still waits, the cup still shows. And though the crowds no longer come, the Lamb still calls and won't grow numb. I ran my hand across that old white cloth, felt the years, the pain, the loss. But in the stillness, clear and true, I heard him whisper, I'm here with you. You can leave the church, you can skip the song, but he stays near your whole life long. The wine may dry, the bread may break, but love don't leave.
sake. There's dust on the communion table, but the cross still holds what's unshakable. The altar waits with open hands for every soul who'll take a stand. And when the heart feels cold or small, come break the bread, He bore it all. So if your faith feels cracked and worn, and Sunday mornings leave you torn, just come and kneel where grace is able, even through dust, on the communion table.
Folded neat in my Sunday coat, with thread as soft as Mama's note. No fancy lace or colored dye, just cotton white and prayer sewn tight. She gave it to me years ago, said, son, you'll need this more than gold. In storms or loss, or when you grieve, this little cloth will help you breathe. There's grace stitched in a handkerchief, in every loop and cross and stitch. Through broken days and tear-soaked nights, it caught my fall, it held me tight. No sermon loud or choir's hymn could speak like that old cloth from them. It's wiped my brow on casket days, been clenched in fist when I couldn't pray. I've wrapped it around a wedding band and held it through God's sovereign plan. Some folks seek signs in skies above, but I felt God in simple love, in something stitched by faithful hands that understood what few men can. Yeah, there's grace stitched in a handkerchief, 1,000 prayers in every wind. When my soul felt threadbare too, it patched me up like love can do. A holy thing not bought or sold, but passed through hearts and hands grown old. So when I go and breathe my last, lay that cloth across my past. Let angels see what kept me whole, a handkerchief with stitched in soul. found an old post on the edge of the field, splintered and worn, but it still stood real. Granddad said, "Son, that's where I knelt to pray, with a cross I carved on Easter Day." No chapel roof, no preacher in sight, just fence-lined grass and heaven's light. He said, "I met the Lord with dirt on my jeans, and grace came down through simple means." The fence post that held my cross stood firm through every storm I lost. Not made of gold, no shining gloss, but it held my faith when all seemed lost. I don't need a steeple tall and proud, just that post and a whispered vow. Mama hung flowers there in the spring, Daddy carved verses and let them sing. I'd stop by after every plow and run, lay down my burdens when the day was done. The fence post that held my cross stood firm through every storm I lost. Not made of gold, no shining gloss, but it held my faith when all seemed lost. I don't need a steeple tall and proud, just that post and a whispered vow. Years rolled by like a river wide, but that old post never left my side. Now my son asks what keeps me strong. I say that weathered cross still carries on. That held my cross stood firm through every storm I lost. Not made of gold, no shining gloss, but it held my faith when all seemed lost. And though the wood may fade and bow, it holds a faith I still avow. So plant your cross where the wild grass grows, let the Lord find you in your working clothes. Grace don't need no stained glass halls, just a fence post and a heart that calls.
Mama used to hang the laundry out back. White sheets fluttered down that old clothes track, with clothespins tied and the sun shining high. She'd hum Amazing Grace to the clear blue sky. Each shirt, each sock had a hymn in its fold, songs about mercy and streets made of gold. While her hands worked through the Monday chore, her heart was singing to heaven's door. There were hymns hung on the clothesline, faith blowing soft in the warm sunshine. Not in a church, but in cotton and twine. I heard the gospel in every line, as the breeze called, "How great thou art." It stitched his peace into my heart. Daddy worked hard, came home with the dusk, wiped off his boots and smelled the musk of linen laced with a sacred song, like church bells ringing all day long. There were hymns hung on the clothesline, faith blowing soft in the warm sunshine. Not in a church, but in cotton and twine. I heard the gospel in every line, as the breeze called, "How great thou art." It stitched his peace into my heart. Now I've got my own backyard fence, a wife who hums with heaven since. When our sheets we bring. There are hymns hung on our clothesline, hope dancing sweet on the backyard vine. The preacher's gone, but the word still shines in sun-washed prayers and linen signs. Let the wind keep preaching soft and kind, with him still hung on the clothesline. Yeah, faith don't always come from a pulpit high. Sometimes it's just a song drifting on by.
I found a bin nailed in Grandpa's shed, next to a Bible with pages well read. He said, "Son, that nail held up our barn door, but it mended much more than the old floor. When the wind blew hard and the storms rolled through, that little nail held the whole frame true. But more than that, it stood for grace, like the ones that held him in his place. It's the nail that fixed more than wood, held our faith like no sermon could. Rusty and plain, but it always stood where mercy met the grain for good. It patched up hearts and sealed the flood. That nail was touched by holy blood. Daddy used one on the porch swing chain, said it ain't much, but it'll take the strain. And when Mama cried on a midnight floor, that swing creaked hope just outside the door. It's the nail that fixed more than wood, held our faith like no sermon could. Rusty and plain, but it always stood where mercy met the grain for good. It patched up hearts and sealed the flood. That nail was touched by holy blood. Now in my hand I hold one too. When things fall apart, I know what to do. I don't pray for gold or nails that shine, just the kind that holds up the divine. It's the nail that fixed more than wood, drove in deep where the lost one stood. Through pain and tears I understood that love was nailed to a cross made of good. It patched up hearts and sealed the flood. That nail was touched by holy blood. Some nails hang pictures, some build pews, but one saved the world, and me and you.
Every Tuesday round 9:45, I crank that Chevy and head out again. Groceries to grab, gas to refill, coffee from Marla's down by Miller's Hill. And I leave a spot in that old front seat, right beside me where the leather creaks. Folks may laugh, but I know the truth. That's where Jesus rides, boots and all, no suit. Jesus rides shotgun on Tuesdays. We talk like old friends on the 2-lane. He don't mind my dashboard dust, he just listens while I vent and lights, no halos, no choirs, no high praise. Just grace between errands and midday haze. He knows my routes and my radio song sings harmony when I get the words wrong. Sometimes I cry when I pass that field where Daddy once prayed with a heart to heal. Jesus rides shotgun on Tuesdays in flannel faith and worn out ways. He don't need a steeple bell, he just shows up where the humble dwell, between dog food bags and paper plates. He pours out peace that never waits. And when I park outside Mama's gate, he walks me in like he can't be late. Holds her hand through every cough, reminds us both he's never off. Jesus rides shotgun on Tuesdays, same old truck, same winding maze. He don't care if I cuss or stall, he just shows up through it all. And when the world feels far away, he draws in close on a Tuesday. I ain't seen him in robes or white doves fly, but every Tuesday he rides right by. The rooster ain't crowed, the sun's still hid. I slip out the door like Daddy once did, mug in my hand, blanket on my knees. The world's still hushing its morning breeze. No choir singing, no preacher's sound, just dew on the grass and peace all around. But I feel him here, the hush before light. He shows up faithful, not loud, but right. He's in the coffee and quiet, in steam that rise. It's like a prayer in flight, in the still of dawn, where worries rest. He stirs my soul while the world's at rest. No thunder rolling, no mighty ride, just grace in the coffee and the quiet. I used to think he lived in pews, in Sunday suits and Bible news, but now I know he loves this porch with creaky rails and a burned out torch. He's in the coffee and quiet, in that moment when the dark turns light. No need for words, just open space to sip his love and taste his grace. While the sun peeks in so soft and shy, he pours his mercy from the sky. The world will wake with horns and speed, deadlines, phone calls, and earthly need. I've got 5 more minutes here, where heaven's close and my mind is clear. He's in the coffee and quiet, where broken hearts find time to try it. Before the chaos, before the fight, he meets me here in morning's light. A sacred place, not bought or bought. He's in the
coffee and the quiet. Yeah, I don't need much to find the Lord. Just steam, silence, and an old front porch. I saw him near the canned green beans, between the coupons and the freezer steam. An old man dropped his jar of jam, and a stranger knelt, reached out his hand. A tired mom with 2 kids crying checked her list while gently sighing. Clerk stepped in, gave them a smile. Yeah, God walks the grocery aisles. God walks the grocery aisles, where broken hearts wear working smiles. No stained glass here, just checkout lanes, but grace still falls like gentle rain. In barcodes, carts, and shuffled miles, love moves down the grocery aisles. A bag boy whistling blessed be as he packed up eggs and old iced tea. That hum felt holy, soft and kind, a sacred tune in a checkout line. God walks the grocery aisles, where folks say thanks and pause a while. He's in the hand that holds the door, and prayers mumbled by the milk floor. He ain't just found in Sunday's files, he walks the everyday grocery aisles. Might not hear a sermon loud, or see him float on some bright cloud, but in small acts he makes his way, turning errands into grace each day. God walks the grocery aisles, with every step he reconciles. Between the beans and baby wipes, he heals with love, not lightning strikes. Next time you're lost in life's long miles, look for him in grocery aisles. Yeah, he ain't far, he ain't aloof. He's walking right there, past out too.
He came to town with a toolbox worn, calloused hands from nails well born. Folks said he builds with heart and grace, and somehow peace filled up the place. He mended chairs and busted doors, but healed far deeper than the floors. With every swing of hammer true, he patched up more than just the pew. The carpenter fixes more than wood, he builds up souls the way no one could. With mercy smooth as cedar grain, He sands down sorrow, smooths the pain. He don't just cut or carve or nail, he lifts the lost when all else fails. I watched him work on Mama's chair, but left behind a whispered prayer. That night she slept without the ache, the kind that grief and time can't fake. He never asked for coin or praise, just smiled and went about his ways. But I knew then what Grandpa meant. This ain't just wood, this is heaven sent. The carpenter fixes more than wood, restores what doubt misunderstood. With every board and every beam, he frames the truth inside a dream. He don't just patch, he makes things new, like hearts once cracked, now shining through. I brought him planks from broken years, he took them all, then wiped my tears. Now my whole life's a porch he built, with grace and nails and mercy spilled. The carpenter fixes more than wood, turns pain to peace like only he could. Through every splinter, every scar, he shapes redemption where we are. So when I break, I know he stood, the carpenter who fixes more than wood. Yeah, he still works on hearts each day, with holy hands and nails that stay. Check the mailbox every day at 4. Boots on gravel past the porch screen door. Mostly it's coupons, bills and ads, and news that sometimes makes me sad. But once in a while, tucked in real tight, is a postcard written in faded light. A friend from church, a note from Mom, little reminders that grace hangs on. There's grace between the mail and bills, and paper prayers and windowsills. God don't wait for Sunday pews, he rides with stamps and postage dues, and scribbled words and kindness spills. There's grace between the mail and bills. One time I found a check I'd forgot, sent from a friend when times were hot. No sermon preached, no altar call, just help that caught me in the fall. And when I saw her handwriting shake on a birthday card with a homemade cake, I knew the Lord had passed by here, wrapped in paper, ink, and cheer. There's grace between the mail and bills, folded soft in time that stills. It may not shout, but it sure does stay, like mercy mailed in every day. Between the lines the heart refills with grace. Between the mail and bills. He don't need gold or choirs high, sometimes he comes in a small high, stamped and sent through common things. That's how heaven often sings.
There's grace between the mail and bills, love that walks through paper hills, between the ads and late day sun. The gospel comes in envelope form, so don't ignore what the mailbox spills. There's grace between the mail and bills. Yeah, some days salvation's got a stamp on it.
Steel-toe boots by the vending machine, the lunch pail stacked where grace ain't seen. Clock says noon, the floor still hums, but in that break room, mercy comes. He's not in robes or golden light, just flannel sleeves and eyes so right. He don't judge the dirt we bring, he just listens like a friend would sing. Jesus waits in the break room with coffee cold and a worn out broom, while the world keeps rushing fast outside. He pulls up close where the hurting hide. No stained glass, no choir tune, just Jesus sitting in the break room. Joe lights up 'cause he don't know that someone else has lit his soul. And Mary prays through her folded hands while Jesus stands where the silence lands. Jesus waits in the break room where quiet hearts find sacred room, between the lockers and microwave hum. He brings the peace we all run from. He don't need a pulpit's bloom, just a chair back in the break room. You'll find him where the weary eat, among half smiles and aching feet. When you feel alone with your bottled sigh, he's there with love you can't deny. Jesus waits in the break room with healing more than a doctor's tune. He don't fix time cards or make more pay, but he carries burdens day by day. So pull up a chair when your hope feels gloom. Jesus is waiting in the break room. Yeah, right there by the fridge and mop. He's been saving souls between shifts non-stop. Number 98, they just called out 10. I roll my eyes, then breathe again. Fluorescent lights in a plastic seat. This ain't where heaven and earth should meet. But then I saw a young man stand, give a spot to an old woman's hand. No sermon said no preaching near, but grace just whispered, I'm still here. The Lord's in the lines at the DMV, in long sighs and worn IDs. He don't mind the weight or noise. He's right there with the girls and boys. Between the forms and pens that flee, you'll find the Lord at the DMV. The clerk looked tight, her voice was low, still smiled at each face in the row. A mama calmed her baby's cry
with a lullaby, sweet as lullabies. The Lord's in the lines at the DMV, in moments most folks fail to see. He walks between the numbered tiles and sits with us through every mile. No stained glass walls, no symphony, just patience wrapped in mystery. He's not confined to steeple songs. He shows up where the waits are long, where tempers fray and clocks move slow. That's where his gentle rivers flow. The Lord's in the lines at the DMV, in acts of love and quiet dignity. He turns delay to sacred ground, where kindness and His grace are found. So next time you're stuck, don't fail to see the Lord walk slow at the DMV. Yeah, I met Him once between B and C, waiting right beside me. It was late afternoon, sun hanging low, cicadas humming soft and slow. I poured 2 cups of coffee black, set one down, then leaned right back. The swing creaked once, then settled still. I felt a peace no storm could kill, and though no footsteps touched the ground, I knew the Lord had come around. Jesus sat on my porch step, not a word but my soul wept. In the breeze He spoke so kind, son, you don't have to leave pain behind. Just hand it here, I'll hold it close. On that old step I felt Him most. He didn't preach or wave His hand, just looked across my weedy land. Said, even this I love to know, the broken fence, the rust, the slow. We talk about Dad and working late, and why some prayers just sit and wait. He listened like he'd known it all, then caught my tears before they'd fall. Jesus sat on my porch step, in boots like mine and flannel sweat. Not with thunder, but with grace, He met me in that simple place. No golden throne, no stone to prep, just peace out on my porch step. I didn't see Him walk away, but I felt stronger come next day, like He left hope in the screen door swing, and healing hid in everything. Jesus sat on my porch step, where sorrow had its final breath. He didn't need a choir loud, just open hearts and no proud. If you think He won't take one small rep, He's waiting now on your porch step. Yeah, mine still creaks where He once sat, and I sit there just talking back. There's a bent old wrench and a rusted knife,
a level passed down from Daddy's life. Tape that sticks but barely holds, and sockets worn smooth from years of soul. But deeper down beneath the screws, there's a folded note in dusty blue, a scribbled line from days gone past. Lord, give me strength to make things last. There's a prayer in my toolbox, right there between the pliers and locks. It don't wear robes or golden rings, just oil and hope and humble things. When I fix what's broke with hands and grit, it's grace that truly tightens it. Sometimes I patch more than a wall, like when my boy felt 10 feet tall. He broke a shelf but cried in shame, so I fixed it soft and said his name. And when the sink leaks late at night, I whisper, Lord, just make it right. Not just the pipe, but this old fear that life leaks more than it appears. There's a prayer in my toolbox, between the rust and all life knocks. Each turn of wrench, each steady nail carries faith that will not fail. Through every stripped and stubborn bit, there's grace in every tightened twist. No stained glass hangs in my garage, no choir sings in my mirage, but every drawer that sticks with time holds a hymn in hammers rhyme. There's a prayer in my toolbox where mercy meets the workday clock. It ain't loud, but it holds me true through busted bolts and Monday's blue. So if you ask where my faith fits, it's right there in the socket bits. Yeah, right neath the crescent wrench and grit is a quiet prayer, and I still read it. The shop's all closed, the lights turn low, the echo's gone, the workers go. Just me and a broom, this empty floor, and a stillness I've come to adore. The dust don't talk, but somehow speaks of tired old weeks and leaky leaks. And in that hush of end of day, I feel the Lord not far away. He's in the sweeping and the silence where no one sees, but peace finds us. Not in the shout or loud amen, but in the calm when tools have in. With every stroke and breath I sense, He's in the sweeping and the silence. A broken bolt near table 3 still sits like questions inside me, but I don't rush to fix or mend. Some things the Lord will just defend. The chimes outside ring soft and slow, like heaven whispering down below. And in that quiet I confess, it's here I feel His nearness best. He's in the sweeping and the silence between the sighs and strong defiance. In dusty light and floorboard creaks, He walks with me though no one speaks. No stained glass, just reverence. He's in the sweeping and the silence. Some Some folks need choirs loud and grand, but I find him with broom in hand. It's not the stage or polished gold, it's holy hush that grips the soul. He's in the sweeping and the silence, where grace arrives without announcement. In mundane things he writes his will, in every pause he's speaking still. So if you're searching for his guidance, he's in the sweeping and the silence. Yeah, I've heard more sermons in this quiet than in 1,000 crowded pews.
Dashboard glowing late at night, that old red light flickered bright. Another mile, another prayer, down empty roads with silent air. Could have fixed it weeks ago, but life gets loud and I move slow. Still every time that warning shines, I think of grace and worn out signs. There's faith in the oil change light, a gentle push to do what's right. Not every message comes from pews. Sometimes it's brake dust and worn out shoes. The Lord don't always shout or shine, He shows up in the everyday grind. I've let my soul run far too dry, chased empty roads and questioned why. But like that engine running rough, the Spirit says you've had enough. We all need checkups, hard and steel, to let the Lord beneath the wheel. Sometimes a light's all that it takes to bring us back before we break. Yeah, there's faith in the oil change light, just like dawn breaks through the night. It ain't a hymn, but it's a call to check your soul before you fall. Grace don't always wear a robe, sometimes it rides on dusty roads. I see that beacon glow, I'll pull aside and take it slow, and thank the Lord for ways He shows in dashboard lights and mercy flows. He don't wear a spotlight, don't need a mic in hand. A whisper through the pine trees is how He makes a stand. No crowd to start applauding, no curtain rising high, but I've seen grace in silence 'neath a back road morning sky. He ain't booked in concert halls, no posters on the wall, but He plays the song of mercy when the weary start to fall. I heard it in my grandpa's prayer, in mama's lullaby. You don't need an audience to hear the Lord nearby. 'Cause God don't need a stage, don't need the showman's flair. He walks the quiet places and meets us anywhere. Behind a rusted tractor or in a midnight rain, he's preaching through the thunder and singing through the pain. No lights, no fame, no page, just love that never fades. 'Cause God, He don't need a stage. I saw him in a jail cell when a convict bowed his head, in a truck stop Bible left open where a lost man once read, in a widow's Sunday whisper as the choir sang off key. That's where the Lord still lingers, humble hearts set free. 'Cause God don't need a stage, don't need the showman's flair. He walks the quiet places and meets us anywhere. Down in a dirt road chapel or on a city train, He's speaking in the stillness, He's dancing through the rain. No lights, no fame, no page, just love that never fades. Yeah, God, He don't need a stage. The steeple's nice, the sermon strong, but don't you think He's only there? He's with the broken, moving on through every whispered prayer. No, God don't need a stage, don't need a crowd to cheer. He's with the farmer's whisper and the preacher's tear. He's humming in the silence of an empty Sunday pew. He's here with me right now, and He's sitting there with you. No lights, no fame, no page, just love that never fades. Oh God, He don't need a stage.
I sit on that old church pew, third row on the right, tie a little crooked, heart trying to get it right. The choir's singing sweetly, preacher's got that fire, but I know faith don't end when the organ choir retires. See, Monday's got its tempers, and Tuesday's full of tests. Wednesday brings the worries that won't let me rest. But when I feel the pressure and my soul starts to race, I remember Sunday's just a starting place. 'Cause Sunday ain't the finish line, it's just where I begin to take His word and walk it out through thick and cold and thin. It ain't just hymns and sermons or hands that fold in grace. It's how I treat the lost and low in every time and space. Yeah, the Lord don't live in steeples, He walks with me each day. Sunday's just a starting place. The neighbors need some kindness, the checkout girl needs cheer. There's a boy that needs a father and a widow fighting fear. And if I leave my mercy sitting back in that church space,
I've missed the point of Sunday's starting place. 'Cause Sunday ain't the finish line, it's just where I begin to take His light and carry it where darkness settles in. It ain't just pews and preaching or talking about God's grace. It's holding open doors and meeting eyes face to face. Yeah, the Lord don't wait till Sunday to show up in this race. Sunday's just a starting place. He walks with me through traffic, through bills I can't delay. He's in my tone, my choices, in the small things that I say. I don't clock out on Monday, my faith don't wear a tie. It's working overtime when folks pass me by. So don't tell me you've done worship when the last amen is through. It's just the first deep breath of what we're called to do. Yes, Sunday feeds the spirit, but loves live face to face in break rooms, fields, and highways. That's His kind of grace. So wear the word from Monday on like light you can't replace. Sunday's just a starting place. Yeah, Sunday's just a starting place.
Coffee cup still warm, sun peeks through the blinds. Sink is full of dishes, kids are running wild behind. I used to think I had to find Him in the choir song, but turns out He's been with me right here all along. Scrubbing plates and cleaning spills, prayers between the chores, folding little shirts and socks on creaky hardwood floors. There's holiness and sweat and grace where hands get hurt. Yeah, God's in the dishes and the dirt. He don't wait for Sunday robes or stained glass light to fall. He's right here in the mess of life when no one sees it all. From the garden weeds to midnight feeds, He's never hit or curt. Yeah, the sacred ain't just silent pews. God's in the dishes and the dirt. I saw Him in my woman's eyes when she was bone-tired blue, still smiling while she packed the lunch for a boy who never knew. And when I'm mowing on a Saturday or patching up my shirt, I swear I feel the Spirit stir in all this sweating earth. He don't wait for Sunday robes or stained glass light to fall. He walks beside the daily load, no matter big or small. From garden beds to broken sheds to hands that push and hurt. Yeah, God's in the dishes and the dirt. He's in the mop, the muddy boots, the supper getting cold. He's in the love that shows up still when hearts feel getting old. Don't need a crowd or holy sound to feel the heaven Just look down at your calloused hands, you'll see He's right here. So if you feel too ordinary, too quiet or too plain, remember He made shepherds first, not kings with golden chains. He's with you in the unseen things where humble folks exert. Yeah, God's in the dishes and the dirt. Yes, the secrets in the simplest work. God's in the dishes and the dirt.